If you have been following my social media, you know that I've been celebrating Christmas in July. So today I decided to dress up in some Christmas gear. And I wanted to talk about my own personal journey of wellness and health. So a few years ago, I did a podcast with a wonderful lady named Jill Cruz, and we discussed part of my journey, and I wanted to share some of it with you because it's relevant. Victims of domestic violence and traumatic crime and the family of those victims often suffer for years after the incident with health issues that are a direct result of the stress that their bodies were under during those times. So this wonderful lady, Jill Cruz, who is based, I believe, out of New York City, we talked about this in her podcast, and you can find that on my LinkedIn page. It's Marsha Roberts Michaels. I did remarry. I haven't legally changed my name, but I am his wife, and so I did add his last name onto some of my social media. So that's why there's sometimes a discrepancy there. Yes, I did marry him. I did marry Mr. Wonderful from my first book, but because I was in the middle of publishing books and doing different things professionally, and my kids were all still in school and they were all still Roberts, it just made sense to just keep my last name. It was just simpler for the kids. So now everyone's grown. I have thought about maybe changing it, but honestly, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to change your license, your passport, all of your credit cards. Like, it's a lot of work, your social security card. And luckily, my current husband has said, you know what? I don't care. I know you're my wife. I know you love me. It doesn't matter. Okay, so moving on after that brief introduction, I did want to just talk to you guys about, as I said, there's my Christmas tree behind me. Got all my presents wrapped too. I'm very excited. As a kid, growing up in New York State, outside of New York City, I was really, really a healthy kid. In fact, as I was growing up and I became involved with equestrian sports, I really wanted to go to the Olympics. So every day I would get up and I would either run or bike or do yoga or aerobics, which was popular when I was a kid in the 80s and 90s. Yes, I'm that old. And, I would do something to try to keep my body in shape and healthy. And this continued into my 20s. I married young at 19 to my ex-husband, who I met at a college in New York State. And there was a horse program, and I brought my horse. And he was also involved with a horse program, and so that's where we met. And we were very happy for about 15 years. We had 5 kids together, and so I had a lot of pregnancies and all of those things. But you know what? I was extremely healthy. I had 0 health issues. I was in good shape. I was fit. No health problems. Not even high blood pressure. Nothing. So my health problems did not start until I was in my 30s, and my ex-husband developed bipolar disorder, and he became very abusive. And for those of you who have read my book, New Day, One Woman's Journey Through Domestic Violence, and again, it's listed under Marsha Roberts, not Marsha Michaels, you know some of this story. So some of this is a repeat. So from that point on in my life, I started having a lot of health issues. The first thing that happened to me was in 2006, I had a miscarriage. So I was pregnant with baby number 6. There was a violent incident, and then the doctor told me that my baby had died. Now, the doctor would not say that it was a direct result of the violent incident, the sexual assault, but I have always felt that it was. From that point on, I was not able to carry a child past like maybe 12 weeks. And so when I remarried in 2012, my husband, current husband, and I, we wanted to have a baby together. We tried, and we got pregnant without an issue, about once a year, and I would carry for 2 or 3 months, and then I would have a miscarriage. And this was really frustrating. So at the age of about 45, we decided, my doctor, my husband, and I, that we should stop trying. We had adopted a daughter by then, our wonderful daughter Susan, who is fantastic. She's still with us, and we love her so much. We're so grateful for Susan. But it was hard to stop having babies, and we did that anyway because we felt like it was the best thing. So I'd had some minor issues up to that point. Some injuries from running and stuff like that. Hip bursitis, I think, from running, and what else? Some pulled muscles, things like that. But it always healed, wasn't a big deal. Well, right about that time, there was a day where there was a snowy day, and the stairs were snowy, and we hadn't even had a chance to shovel them off. And so I went out the door, and I fell down the stairs, and I broke my back. And it took many years for that to heal. Many years. And then, kind of coupled with all that, as that was healing, I had some other things. So about a year after we stopped trying, I had a massive bleed when I had my period. And I knew something was wrong because I'd never lost that much blood, not even after having babies, not even during miscarriages. My cycles had been really regular, and never had any issues or problems. But I found myself at the hospital, and they told me that my uterus had filled up with fibroids. Now again, some doctors might say, well, that was just your age. But here's the thing. I never had any reproductive problems until I had that miscarriage after the sexual assault. And so, in my head, I wonder, does it all lead back to that? Kind of, as I was wondering, I started doing research, and the research shows that victims of domestic violence and traumatic crime have issues with chronic illness for the rest of their life. And this would become really clear to me. I had a client in my consultancy early on, a dear sweet lady. She was fighting for the safety of her 3 boys. I think she had 3. And because of all the stress of the domestic violence and the custody battles, she developed a heart condition. And so she passed away very young, and she was a wonderful, wonderful lady. And honestly, I miss her every day. We became pretty close, and I was the person she called when things were rough. And as many of you know who I've helped or I've stood beside, we get pretty close to those people that mentor us, that kind of point us in the right direction. So that was really hard. And then last summer, after having some more sports injuries, that always happens to me, yay! I had a knee injury that occurred at the horse farm, and I had to have surgery. And after that, I decided to do some remote work, and I worked for EMS, for Northern Human Services, and it was an EMS job, rapid response, mobile crisis clinician. So I was talking to people in crisis, and I did that for 1 summer. By the end of the summer, I had some major health conditions. I had some damage to my heart. I had pneumonia, which led to lung damage. Some of that has healed. And I also had thyroid issues. So I have a big thyroid lump right there called a goiter, which I'm actually having removed next Monday. So I would appreciate your prayers next Monday, your good thoughts. If you're not a prayer, that the surgery will go well, that I'll recover without issue. But my point for making this video is, if you are or you have been a victim of a violent crime, any violent crime, or somebody you love has been, please take good care of your health. Take extra good care of your health. Make sure that you have good, healthy eating, exercise regimen, that you are seeing your doctor on a yearly basis for an exam so they can catch things. Take good care of yourself. Have a good way to relieve your stress. Prayer and meditation works for me. Also, things like a nice hot bath, a walk outside, time with my horses, because your body was not designed for this kind of stress. Now, some people do really well with this. I worked with someone last summer. She's amazing. I have so much respect for her. Like, she is just amazing. And she shared with me that things don't bother her the way they bothered me. And I think that's amazing. And she's definitely the right fit for that job. I was not. Way, way too much of an empath. And my body just internalized it. And it wasn't great. And then there are some people out there that are going to say, oh, this has nothing to do with your health. But, you know, that's not really what the research says. I challenge you, find out for yourself, Google it. Start looking at the research, go into Google Scholar. Use search terms such as, you know, domestic violence and chronic illness, you know, trauma and chronic illness, things like this. And I think you'll find that it really is a factor. So if you're out there and you're a victim or a former victim, you're a survivor, and you are dealing with chronic illness, let me just say that I will pray for you. I will pray for you devotedly. And I do believe in the power of prayer as well. I pray, and God answers those prayers, and I'm so grateful. I'm grateful to see answers to those prayers. So I've prayed for many people who have had cancer, and they were made well. And it's not me, it's God. But the Bible says we have to bring those things to God so that, you know, He can answer our prayers. We have to ask. Jesus said, ask, and it will be given to you. So it's important to bring those things to God and let Him know what our heart's desires are. So, again, I'm just making this video. I wanted to share a little bit about my personal health journey and the struggles that I've had. I really want to encourage you to, if you're in the middle of a health crisis, and I just talked to a victim recently who I worked with a little bit, and she was telling me about a health crisis she's in the middle of, and I want to encourage you. There was a time after I broke my back where I was so discouraged, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to be disabled, this is it. And I decided I'm going to make the best of it, so I would use the little carts in the stores because I couldn't stand, and I just did what I could, you know, and just decided I'm going to move forward, I'm going to make the best of it. But God actually healed me. He heard my prayers. I had a very talented surgeon that worked on my back. He guided the surgeon's hands. That's what I believe. And again, people who aren't believers are going to say, oh no, it was all the surgeon. It was his education, his know-how, all those things. I think it's a combination. Why couldn't it be a combination, right? Why couldn't it be a combination of the gifts that God gives us, and when we use them to help people, and then He makes it a great thing? And I believe that. I think it doesn't have to be in conflict. I think it can work together. So anyway, I was really discouraged, and I thought, God is never going to heal me. This is it. But He did heal me. And it took years for me to get back to a place where I could do the things I loved. So I just want you to hold on to that. Please believe that God will heal you. And again, drop me a comment. I'd be happy to pray for you. Just say, pray for me. And I will add your name to my list, and I will pray for you. And I believe for you that God will heal you. So, again, I'm going to be facing another surgery on Monday to get rid of this. Please pray for me. I would appreciate it. I would really appreciate your prayers and good thoughts. Okay, I know I look goofy, but don't I look festive? Happy Christmas in July, and I love you all.